Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go. Let it go. Yeah. Oh. Hey guys. Just playing with my balls, waiting for you to show up. But no time for that now. Now we got to talk about 10 programs that we can't live without. As the intro said, today we are covering 10 programs that we can't live without here at Madness Labs. And I'll even have a couple extras for you at the end that I personally like. All of these things that we're going to cover today are 100% free. So you can get a program and you can get a program. Everyone gets programs. So let's get into it. So many of you have probably already heard of Slack. Here's their homepage. Basically, it's just a messenger program. So it's much like Facebook Messenger or any other kind of messenger that you've used. But this one's very scoped towards work and specifically towards they have channels which allow you to kind of scope in different sections of work. So you can have a different channel for each project or even for each each team. There's tons of ways that you can utilize it. It's great. It's got wonderful integration. They've got an open API. It's just fantastic. And they do have a paid plan that you can get to get more history and stuff like that. And recently we've been seeing a trend of a lot of companies opening up their Slacks to let people in order to do like community chat, which has been an interesting kind of take on it. And so here is our Slack. And right now I've got the support channel for one of our companies open. And you can see there on the left side, we have the channels, and you can see the ones with locks by them are like private channels where you can invite specifically the people that you want to have access to your chat. And then we also have the ones with the little hashtags next to them, and those are just the general chat channels that are open to everyone. And then you can see the direct messages. These are all the people that you have direct messages back and forth with. And then they even have an app section, so apps that you install, integrations that you hook up to your Slack, for instance, like Google Drive. We'll install apps down here so that you can kind of see the history on things like that. So you can see here like kind of a Google Drive history. And then on the very left, we have kind of different Slack instances that you can sign into. And even if you're small, it's really great just to be able to like lock down each project into a channel. So that way you have like a history of communication and stuff like that. And we actually even use the GitHub integration as well as some other integrations to actually feed messages into each one of these Slack channels to keep our clients up to date. And I might do an entire video on just how we have our Slack set up. Obviously, Visual Studio Code. So it is a great editor. I myself started coding on Dreamweaver. Then I moved into Sublime when I didn't want something that was so heavy and that tried to hold my hand too much. I moved over to Sublime because that gave me a lot of control, and they had awesome plugins, and it was super fast. And then when I was working at Caleres, one of the people there recommended that I try VSCode since I was doing TypeScript, and I just fell in love with it. And it has great extensions, and the most powerful thing is the Git integration. And this would be a great time to plug our most popular video, the Bing info card up there at the top right. Yes, top right. And I'm pointing to the, wait, am I pointing to the right? I guess I am. Okay, so the next program, this one's a little bit niche and a lot of people don't really know much about it. It's called GIF Cam. And what GIF Cam is what I said it is. It's a GIF Cam. It lets you pop up this little window here, and here's their website. And basically we can, anywhere on our screen, we can basically just drag this box around it, and whatever's in this viewport here will get turned into a GIF. So we can hit record here, it'll start recording a GIF, and then we can stop and click save. And then now we can save this, like let's just save it to our desktop as random. And it's going to basically take whatever you recorded in that and then save it to a GIF. There's a little recording that we made. So super simple. And this is really great for when you're trying to illustrate something like really tiny, like a user interaction or something on an application that you just want to capture, but you kind of need that motion, or you need like just a couple seconds. 4 on our list is Notion. So if you've ever used like Evernote or OneNote or anything like that, this is basically an alternative to that. So it's a note-keeping application. However, they took a really, really minimalistic approach, and they're cross-platform. They've got an app, they've got a web app. They've just really nailed the whole thing, and it's got such a clean, you can see it here, a clean, minimalistic kind of design, and it lets you kind of set it up any way you want. And then they have tons of kind of presets and things like that that like really make things easy to set up. So you can see here we have one for a second, it's updating, and this one's also built upon Electron, and so it's a web app as well. And you can see here it lets you kind of like, we have one for each one of our projects. We have tasks and we have calendars and roadmaps, and these things all they let you set up calendars and Kanban boards. So you can really kind of set it up to your needs, but it's a great way to take notes and to keep on top of things. And again, it's just really intuitive. I've never used a note-taking application that I felt like could really like be something that you can organize and keep on top of. Like I used Evernote for a couple of years, and the problem with it was like you just kept creating notes and then they kept getting buried, and so it was like a job to go through there and kind of make different tags and all this stuff, and the search was great, but it was like every time I wanted to find something I had to search. And this allows you to kind of make your own structure, and even the best part of it is that you can actually export everything into Markdown. So it's not using anything crazy or complicated, it's just gonna export everything out to Markdown. The next one, so if you're using GIF Cam and just making something small, or you realize you need to like screen record your entire screen, OBS is the program. This was actually recommended by one of our YouTube viewers, actually. On one of our first YouTube videos, they said, oh, don't use that recording program, that's garbage, use OBS. And so we checked it out, and it is fantastic. It's actually what I'm using right now to record this. And it is just a screen recording program, but it does so much more. It's got a really intuitive interface. That's what allows us to kind of drag multiple cameras. So we got like a recording that's recording the desktop. Then we've got the recording of me at the bottom right, and all of it is like this simple drag and drop interface. So check them out. They're really great. They support multiple audio sources, and you can kind of, you would be amazed how much editing you can do with just this program on the fly. And like we can't say enough good stuff about it. Again, it's free. Download it. It's great. Okay, the next one, design program. It is Adobe XD, and I didn't realize before we recorded this, but they've actually made it free now. And what Adobe XD is, and why it made our list here, is because we use this to do all of our prototyping. So what is a prototype, you might say, if you're a beginner? A prototype is a clickable design that the client can actually look through in order to kind of get a feel for the application or the website that you're building. And generally, you'd use some other program. I think the Mac alternative, like the main Mac program, is like Sketch. And Sketch is really great, but Mac only. So we had actually gotten this when it was in beta, because what our belief was we wanted a design tool that we could use on both Mac and PC. We didn't want our developers to have to choose what platform that they use just based on the design tool. So we thought this was super powerful. And they've built in, as you can see here in this little video, they build in a wiring tool where you can just like grab and drag and drop these little arrows, and then that will navigate you through the application. So here's just a design that Emily had made a while back. And this is like a mapping program that we are working on for one of the applications. And you can see here it's got, you can put pictures in here. You can draw a box, you can draw a circle, a line, or even freeform SVG. And then it'll let you export all this stuff as SVG, PNG, anything, and it's super intuitive. It's got layers just like a regular graphics program. And then again, in that prototyping mode, you can kind of hook up different buttons to these wires that wire it up to different states. And then when you click on the little play button at the top, you can actually click on these things and it kind of makes it look as if you're using your application, but you don't have to lay any code. And so if you are not prototyping right now and you're doing work for clients, please get this. It will change your life. Emily was a advocate. Back in the day, I just coded things. We'd go through a whiteboard session, and then I would come right out of that and I'd start developing. And you would be surprised what is missed by clients from the explanation that you give on a whiteboard versus what you implement in the browser. And there's nothing worse. There's absolutely nothing worse than getting done with something that took you 2 or 3 weeks, and then the client goes, yeah, that's not at all what I thought we were building. And so get a prototyping tool, even if it's Sketch or if it's this. I mean, Adobe XD is free now, so I mean, why not? Like, get it. You won't be disappointed. Putty. So Putty is an SSH telnet client. So what that means is it basically is a virtual terminal that we can use to connect to a web server. So for instance, we host our website on DigitalOcean. And so this tool lets you basically remote into machines, other machines, and access their terminal remotely. So if you work with APIs via Express or Laravel or any other language, you'd know that like sometimes you just want to test your API, or you just want to connect to it and get the response back, and you don't want to have to wire up an interface or spin up your application. And then there's also the pain of like, okay, I have this API built, but I need to document it, and so there's all these different libraries to document and do all this stuff. Well, Postman's kind of like this one and done solution for API testing and documentation and the whole kit and caboodle. And it's very simple and very intuitive. You can download it from their website, and here is what it looks like. And you can see here we've got, you have the ability to kind of set up environments. So you can set up like a local environment, a test environment for the different types of environments that you have set up. And then we can actually have a history of all the different API requests that we've made. You can set up your API requests here. So I can make like a post, a get, all the different types of requests. And there's multiple tabs, so you can have tons and tons of tabs open. Super helpful. Again, just like there's times when you don't want to use, you don't want to spin up your interface and test it there. You just want to hit the API and send in the request body of your request and get back the response. So it really speeds up the process there. And also, a lot of people use something like the terminal to like do requests through there, and that's great. But I myself, I like a nice GUI interface, and I like to be able to see that and parse the JSON and stuff like that, just that it's really easy to see and wrap my head around. So great tool. Okay, HeidiSQL. So this is a program that lets you connect to an SQL server. So here I will connect into my local host here, and basically you'll see your list of local SQL databases, and this will let you do everything that you could do via SQL. So if you want to write like a query and run an SQL query, if you want to look through all your tables and see what's going on there, it's all here. It's all available inside of HeidiSQL, and it's a really great tool. So here you can see here's like a WordPress setup. I can see all the different WordPress tables. I can click into them. It'll give me the structure of the database. I can then go in, or the table, and then I can go in and see the actual data. I can sort it. I can actually run a query, so I can run a regular, query in SQL. So this is super powerful. It even gives you all the columns and everything. I used to use PHP-MyAdmin back in the day, but then you have to spin those up. When you have your own web servers, you have to spin that up. And then it's also kind of a security thing, because like now you have this tool online that lets somebody like view a nice pretty GUI to go through your database. This is much more secure. You can hook up an SSL cert, you can hook up to your web server, and that way you're making sure that only you have access to it. And in my opinion, this is a much better interface than what PHP-MyAdmin gives you. And then the final one, and this is something we use constantly, and you don't know how much you need this program until you have it. And that's why I saved it for last. So this is GreenShot. And what GreenShot is a screenshot program. So you might or you might not know that there is a print screen button on your keyboard, on most keyboards. And basically what that button does is it takes a screenshot of the screen. On Windows, that is great. It takes a full screenshot, but sometimes you don't want a screenshot of the whole screen. Like for instance here, there's like all this dead space and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click my print screen, and you can see that instead of snapping the whole screen, it gives you this little crosshair, and then you can basically take a picture of what you want, and then it will give you this dialog, and this dialog lets you do things like save it. You can save it directly, so it'll save directly to wherever it has default set up. You can copy that image directly to your clipboard, or you can open in their image editor, which is something that I like to do often. And then they give you some tools so you can do like notation. So I can say like, hey, get rid of this, or maybe I want to just, do some basic photo editing to get rid of that altogether. And so super powerful tool. We use it with our clients all the time. Like anytime you need to say like, hey, this is the ad we're talking about, and you can lay some text. This ad is terrible. My wife had a Mac for a while, and their screen capturing program is very similar, but it's not as robust, and it doesn't have these editing tools, which this is kind of like the creme de la creme. Like once you get these editing tools, it really allows you to quickly like point out things and give people some kind of context as to what you're talking about. It is, I think, $1 on Mac. So if you want to use it on Mac, you have to pay for it, but it is worth every penny. These guys are great. And that is our list of 10, count them, 10 programs that we can't live without here at Madness Labs. All of the links are available in la description. So head on down there, check out all of these programs. Again, they're all free, so why not? Now, here are a couple bonus programs, and this is called GInk. And what this guy does is it basically lets you draw over your screen. So there was a couple times when I'd be doing like a screen share, or for instance on these videos here, I might want to point something out, much like with a GreenShot, being able to take screenshots and annotate. This lets you kind of annotate directly over your screen. And so some things like Slack supports like doing the drawing and stuff like that, but this lets you do it anywhere. So I can go in here and you can see it gives me a little toolbar, so I can like highlight things, or I can use a little pencil. So super powerful. It even takes a little screenshot if you need it to. And my number one favorite program, and I won't let this program die, and I hope to geez that they will open source this program here, because it's been deprecated. A program called Adobe Fireworks. So all of you Photoshop purists are gonna hate me, but I love this program. It was a program by Macromedia before Adobe bought out Macromedia. So if you're not a kid from the 90s and you don't remember Macromedia, they were the original creators of Fireworks, Dreamweaver, and a full suite Flash. All of these great programs, a suite of great design programs, they made. And then Adobe, I can't remember what year, they went and they purchased out Macromedia and brought in the whole suite of programs. And then you kind of had like Photoshop, the Adobe behemoth, and you had Fireworks, and they were kind of like competing products. And so eventually what they did was they kind of merged in some of the features from Fireworks and then deprecated Fireworks and tried to like hide it. So even if you download the Creative Suite, this is kind of a hidden thing. You have to go into the settings and show old apps in order to download Fireworks. Fireworks was actually originally supposed to be like a website design tool. So you could use it to make a website prototype or a concept. You could do the very same things you can do on Adobe XD. It's not as intuitive as XD, and that's why this is not making it into the 10 that we use. And Emily is a huge fan of Photoshop. She'd rather use that any day. But for me, a poor Windows user, like for instance, here's our channel update thing from last video. I made it in Fireworks. For me, this program is just far more intuitive, because like I'm a Windows user, and everything inside of the Macromedia suite was really tailored towards Windows users. Again, it has a bunch of features that I can't even begin to dive into. You can make GIFs with this thing. And again, it's just so intuitive. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, and in the comments, why don't you tell us what programs you can't live without? Because that's how we grow together. That's how we all share and become a community, and we let it go, let it go. Please subscribe for some more. Let it go.